All right. Okay, so I'm just going to change my view here. There's so many of you. I need to be able to see you. Great. Okay, good morning. I guess it's afternoon now. My name is Denise, and I am from GEF Seniors Housing. I am the Community Supports Manager, and I oversee part of the program is our housing intake. And I also have an outreach team that I oversee. So today, what we're going to kind of take a peek at is our general overall view of GEF, and particularly focusing in on how someone would apply and how that process goes. So I'll kind of go through a little bit of a PowerPoint that hopefully addresses a lot of the questions. And then at the very end, what I'll do is I will open it up for some questions, and we can go from there. If there's something that that you're missing, or if I'm going too quick, or you need some more information on before the question and answer, just use the raise hand or comments, and I'll try and take a peek at those as we go along. Okay, so I'm gonna just open up the PowerPoint here. Sorry, just one sec there, Shibi. Okay, so we're just taking a peek at the basic application for GEF. So I'll go through an overview of what the programs we have offered for senior housing, and then we can go from there. Okay, let's see what we can do. So quick facts about GEF. We are the largest provider of seniors housing in Alberta. So for us right now, we have over 40 sites. Those include our lodges and our apartments. We have close to 4,000 seniors living with us in our different communities. So in the combination of subsidized and affordable housing, which includes lodges and apartments. Just a few facts. We've been working with seniors in housing since 1959. Really, our goal is to provide quality, safe, affordable housing and services for our seniors. And over that time, we've really developed this philosophy that it's more than just basic shelter. We really want to make sure that there's the seniors are thriving in their communities and following a certain quality of life. What makes GEF a wee bit different? All of our buildings are well maintained in terms of we have on-site maintenance and a general housekeeper for the general areas. For the last 2.5 years, our buildings have been pet friendly. We'll talk a little bit more about that moving through this. We have a every year we do a resident tenant survey just to kind of keep track of, how the tenant residents are feeling, and if there's areas of improvement, things we need to work on. And we're at about an 82% satisfaction. So considering the large amount of and variety of people living with us, that's pretty good. Our vision is to, positively influence quality of life. So we want to make sure again that the seniors are really just thriving, not just a roof over their head. Our staff are dedicated, knowledgeable, really compassionate. Most people that are working with seniors do it because they really do have a level of interest and compassion with that demographic. We offer a wide selection of apartments and lodges across Edmonton. So we have apartments in all quadrants of the city. We really encourage when a senior applies to look at where their area of supports are or where they want to be. We're able to offer some options. We follow closely with Alberta government standards, and there's regular inspections, and especially over COVID, we're working really closely with the different components of government to make sure that we're following all of the procedures and standards that were necessary, and we're 100% compliant with those legislation. When I talk about quality of life, that is a philosophy that has been incorporated into the work we do in the last couple of years. And it really isn't just a poster that we stick on the wall. It really is a practice that we all use. And it doesn't matter which aspect of our housing you're involved in, if it's administrative, maintenance, our outreach workers, really are looking to ensure that the seniors are feeling supported in their communities and really are promoting their independence and choice. So along with that quality of life philosophy, these are the principles that we really look at in terms of the work we do. And again, it doesn't matter which level. So we're looking at our key principles, our choice, recognizing that seniors, are like all the rest of us. They need to have a say in not just where they live, but the direction that their life is taking. We want to make sure that we respect dignity, look at their well-being. So it's not just about a house, especially in our lodge program. We want to make sure that, by incorporating activity and wellness coordinators, which oversee activities, that we're looking at the overall well-being of the senior. So social, emotional, physical. We want to do the work we do with respect and kindness and compassion. And we really want to make sure we're accountable. Like I said before, we are pet friendly. So we acknowledge that, pets are parts of our family, and that when a senior is applying for housing, if they have an existing relationship with a pet, they shouldn't have to choose between, this relationship with their family member and housing. So we're really looking at the benefits of seniors, especially over COVID. We noticed, when there was the isolation, people with pets, provided them with some social and emotional support. So they're welcome in our program. Right now, we're always revisiting, the pet policy, but at this point, we're looking at pets that are at least 3 years old. So we're not looking at new kittens or pups. And they have at least a 3-year relationship with their owner. So a relationship that's already kind of established. When we look at keeping in mind the space, so in a lodge suite is like a studio, and apartments tend to be a bit smaller. We want to make sure that it's a good environment for the pet as well. So when we say pets, we're looking at fish or 2 birds, 1 dog or 1 cat. And even with the dogs, we have sort of a size requirement. So, we're hoping we don't want to move in somebody with like 5 St. Bernards. So trying to look at, is this a good home for the pet as well in terms of space and environment? There is a separate pet application that an applicant can fill out if they'd like to have their pet live with them. I'll talk a little bit about that moving forward. We also have a clean air initiative. So all of our GEF sites have turned focused on being smoke-free housing options. So although it is a choice if you're a smoker or not, we have designated areas set aside for that smoking. So all of the sites will have a designated outdoor common space. Some of the lodges have indoor smoking rooms. Not all of them. None of the apartments have indoor smoking spaces. So again, it's a choice that we respect. It's just that there's designated spaces for smoking, and none of our suites are smoking. So when we talk about our programs, we have, at this point, we have 35 apartment buildings and 11 lodge sites. So the difference kind of between apartment and lodge, we'll take a peek at that. They are both functionally independent, meaning that whether you're an apartment or a lodge, you are with or without supports, you are able to, the senior is able to get through the day and function without needing medical staff or interventions. So in our apartment program, the senior is living independently. So just like any of us living in an apartment in the community, they have their own, cooking their own meals, doing their own housekeeping, maintaining their own suite. The difference between another apartment and a senior's apartment is 65 and older. So all of the residents in the apartment will be 65 and older, the entire building is accessible in terms of, doesn't matter if our buildings have 2 floors or 200 floors, they all have elevator access, ramps, doorways are made to be accessible by walker or other mobility things that people might need. The rent in an apartment is based on 30% of annual income. So when someone is applying, we ask for a copy of their most recent notice of assessment. We use that income as the source to base the 30% off of. So you can have 10 suites exactly the same, but everybody's paying a wee bit different because it's based on rent. The rent is based on your income. Every year, rent is recalculated. So we're asking for the most recent notice of assessment on a yearly basis. And then rent is calculated on most current income. At any time, if a senior is experiencing a change in their income and it is lower than what their current rent is based on, they can ask for a recalculation. And again, we're always looking at, we want to keep it real time and making sure that their rent that they're paying is accompanied by or is in a line with the actual income they're getting. So in a lodge program, it's very much like apartment, but the things that are changing, they're still independent. We do not have medical staff, still looking for someone to be independent. What we find in the lodge program is that maybe the seniors are able to live independently, but they might have supports from home care. We offer a meal program. So all of the suites are studio based. They don't have a kitchen in them. So all meals and snacks and such are in a common dining area. So this is a picture here of our McQueen Lodge. Kind of gives you an idea what the dining room looks like. The other thing that the lodge program offers is housekeeping. So once a week, a housekeeping will come in and do an overall cleaning of their bathroom and their suite. The other option is if a senior chooses to have a single bed, which comes with the suite, or they can bring their own, but as long as it's a single bed, the linens, the bedding will be changed for them. The towels are changed. Again, that's a choice. Some seniors, prefer to use their own or do it on their own. It's fine. But when the housekeeping comes in, they'll change the bedding and towels as a part of the supports. We do work quite closely in partnership with Alberta Health Services in terms of they're in the building supporting seniors. That relationship is based on the senior themselves. And if the senior moves, the support follows the senior. It's not based on the building. Some of our seniors have other supports in terms of whether it's health or housekeeping or laundry supports. That's something that we, again, work in partnership with, but those are independent relationships between the senior and that support. The difference in the lodge program, we're also looking at that 30% income, but in addition to that, there's a monthly support fee. So that support fee covers all of the meals, all utilities. It covers the housekeeping services, 24-hour staff. So the only extras in the lodge are things like parking, if a senior still requires parking, cable, and internet are separate, although we do have a program with Shaw that has a reduced rate if the senior is interested, laundry. But yeah, pretty much in the lodge program, that fee is covering most of the day-to-day costs. Who can apply for GEF? So we basically have 3 set eligibility requirements. So we ask that it's a senior is 65 years of age. If it's a couple, one of them needs to be at least 65. We do have some 60 to 65 applicants that apply for apartments, and they are predominantly bachelor apartments is what we kind of offer that under 65 group. We used to have kind of more of a surplus of those units, but we don't anymore. So what we're saying with anyone who's under 65 applying is that we'll look at it case by case. So in terms of applying, it is not that you can't if you're in that 60 to 65. It's just that there are some limitations in terms of availability. It would only be a bachelor suite. Yeah, it would be case by case. Lodges, if someone's under 65, absolutely, we can look at it. The questioning there is do they have the income to support the lodge? So that would mean, again, that 30% plus the lodge fee. So we look at what are the needs of that under 65 applicant applying for lodge, and do they have the financial feasibility to cover those fees? So again, age, we look at citizenship. So looking, are you a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or have completed sponsorship? There is, we do have a threshold, so an income for the apartments to apply for subsidized, depending on the suite that you're looking at, the notice of assessment income. This is you have to be at or below this level to apply. So for a bachelor, we're looking at 36,000. A one bedroom or a single is 41, and couples 52,000 or less. If a senior is over that threshold, we do have options in terms of affordable apartment living. We have 3 of those programs. The wait list for those, because there are only 3, can be substantial, and they're kind of on a first come first term basis, whereas applications for the apartment and the lodge go through a interview process, and they're scored according to need. But it doesn't mean that if a senior is over these thresholds, they can apply. And I think it's important to know that for lodges, we don't look at, there are no thresholds. So if a senior is looking to apply for a lodge program, these thresholds only apply to apartments. Additional factors we look at in an application, we do a housing reference. So we're just looking at sort of past history, especially if a senior has been renting, just looking at with permission from the senior for sure. We do a housing reference, looking at sort of, where they've been living, have they been able to maintain, are they good for communal living, those kind of things. When I talk about functional independence, it seems to be a really subjective kind of thing about kind of what one person think is independent versus another. So when we talk about that, the things that we're looking at is making sure that a senior, no matter which program they're applying for, whether it's apartment or lodge, are they going to be able to really thrive in that environment? So what we look at are things like physically, mentally, emotionally, are they able to look after their own needs either on their own or with community support? So when I say supports, I mean things like if they have, we have a lot of seniors who have home care come in and help either with medications or weekly bathing. Some have dressing assist for things like support hose or things like that. So if they have those services and they can live independently with them, great. In an apartment, sometimes we have a senior who might have meal support. So Meals on Wheels or Heart to Home. They might have weekly housekeeping. So we just look at, if a senior is going to live independently, do they have the things that the supports in place to do it? If they can't do it on their own, how are they going to meet those things? So can they keep their unit safe and clean? Are they good for communal living? So whether you're in an apartment or a lodge, especially a lodge where you're having meals every day with other seniors, we look at, is the senior going to thrive in that environment? One of the things we look at in the interview process is we have really, we have larger buildings and we have smaller buildings. So someone who might be more introverted or, more comfortable in smaller groups, then, we might look at offering or directing to one of the smaller sites. Where if someone's really outgoing, a larger site might work best for them. So, are they willing to follow the lease agreement and tenancy guidelines? Are they able to either on their own or with community support manage their meds, their hygiene, diet, those kind of things? So those are kind of things we have when we meet with the senior and have a conversation about what does their day-to-day life look like, and what kind of supports they have to make sure that they're going to thrive in the housing program of their choice. So all that spiel, how do I apply? How do I apply for senior housing, or my mom or my aunt? How do I get this going? So we have a couple ways. One is online. So you can go on to the YEG.org website, and there is the ability to you can see the different programs. You can do kind of a virtual tour of the different sites and buildings. So there, you can do it by area of the city or by program, so apartment, lodge. You're able to kind of take a peek at the different sites. So what it'll show you is it'll show you kind of the area it's in. There are photographs of the exterior of the building, interior, so you'll see the suite, the bathroom, the laundry room, all that great stuff. So you kind of get an idea. If there's a site or multiple sites of interest and you want to apply, you can pull up the online application, fill it out in line, send it off, and it comes to us quite directly. So yeah, there's just a send button, easy peasy. It'll look something like this. So when you go on, you'll be able to fill in all of these spaces via your computer. It takes you through them, and once you send it off, it comes directly to our central office, which will process it, and then we go from there. Lots of our seniors either don't have access to or feel comfortable sometimes with the online application. So we absolutely still use paper applications. You can get these different ways. You can drop by and pick one up. You can phone and they'll mail one out, or email, fax it. So once you have it, you can complete it. Again, when you're returning it, you can mail it, you can scan it, get someone to drop it off, whatever works for you. Once we have that application and it gets processed into our system, then the senior will be contacted. This is just giving you an idea of the paper application. You can print it off from the site, or again, we can send you a physical copy, but same kind of questions as the online. We're just going through it. So some basic information just about the senior, kind of where they want to be, what they're looking for, where they're currently living, making sure that the senior is getting all the benefits they're entitled to, that kind of thing. I did talk about pets. So if a senior has a pet that they'd like to have, then what we'll do is also send out the pet application. What that looks like is, it's just, I believe it's a one page. We're asking about the pet. There are some requirements about a pet. So again, I talked a little bit about the relationship. So the pet itself needs to be 3 years old, have a 3-year or longer relationship with their owner. The things that we ask is that the pet, if there is a city license, that they have one. So we're asking them to have be registered and tagged. Again, 3 years old. We ask that the pet is spayed or neutered. Yeah, although it's funny, one time we had somebody apply with a bird and asked us, you know, if the bird had to be spayed or neutered. I didn't even know if that was a thing. Anyway, yeah, you learn something new every day. But so let's say for cats or dogs, yeah, for sure, spayed or neutered. We want to make sure that their vaccinations are up to date, especially because it's a communal area. We want the pet to be safe and the other seniors in the building. We also ask that there's a guardian for the pet. So basically, someone that has agreed that if something happens with the senior, whether they need to go into care or something emergency happens, that we have a person to contact so that the pet will be cared for. We don't have the capacity to do that at site. So one of the requirements, and we also ask that that guardian signs off so they're aware. It's not just someone who's been named, it's someone who's agreed. Yeah, and then spayed or neutered. So the application, there are a couple things to note. When someone is applying with a pet, there is a 250 non-refundable fee. So with a senior applying, there is a deposit which is refundable of $350. I should mention that. It's no matter what building, the deposit is $350. With the pet, it's $250 non-returnable. So it's just to cover any damage, etc. There is also an additional $20 a month. So usually that's just added in with the rent. When the application is put in, if it is a dog, a pup, we usually ask that the dog comes to the interview just so we can get an idea of how they are with other people, trying to gauge how they would be in a communal living environment, because with a dog, they're going to be going in and out of common areas to go outside. With pet, bird, fish, most of the time they're just staying in the suite, so it's not as important, but we do ask for a photograph just to kind of get an idea of the size, especially with dogs. And again, the tenant is responsible, being a good owner, a good pet owner, so just liable for any damages the dog, or sorry, if the pet does, that kind of stuff. So next steps. I'm not going to read all this, but the basic idea is once it comes in, they put the application in, whether it's online or dropped off, fax, etc. The front desk gets it all in our client management system. The next step is that someone will reach out to set up an interview. I'm not keen on the word interview, it sounds judgy, but basically it's just setting up a time for the senior to have a conversation with one of our housing coordinators. And we just really we talk about things about the whens, the where you want to be, what program you're looking at, what supports you have. Part of that is to make sure that we're matching you with, the appropriate site or multiple sites if you're interested. But the other part is to develop a score. When a senior applies for whether it's apartment or subsidized lodge, there's a scoring system. So the idea is the seniors that have the highest need to be safely housed are taking priority. So once we do this interview, we kind of chat about the different aspects. It develops a score, and that is in relation to where the senior will be placed on the wait list for the building or buildings of their choice. It is possible to be, lots of seniors will sometimes pick an area of the city. So I want to be West End, and we'll pop them on the wait list for any of the apartments, or if they're applying for lodges in that area. Some seniors are very specific about wanting one building, whether it's in an area they currently live or they have friends in that building. Again, it's choice. So anyway, we do the interview, that populates that score, pops the senior on that wait list. We're in that conversation with the senior, we're kind of getting to know them, and we talk about things like the supports they have, how they do their day-to-day things. Making sure. So again, they're prioritized based on need. So we look at those that have the highest need for housing, whether they are currently not housed, staying with family, have lost their housing. Sometimes seniors are transitioning due to a health or mobility issue from hospital and can no longer return to their current home. So there's all kinds of factors that we take into consideration. Once we've done that, they go on their wait list. We encourage a senior to do a tour of one or more of the sites that they've chosen. What we don't want to happen is for a senior to wait on a wait list for months, and then we match them and then they go see the site and realize at that point that, oh my gosh, this is not the site for me, this is not what I want. I think it's really important for the senior to get an idea of the sites that they've chosen, whether it's just one or multiple, to make sure it really is a good fit for them. The site is a good feel. Everybody is looking for something a little different. Sometimes family will ask one of us, what's the best one? It's not how it works. It's we have multiple different sites. They all have a different feel for them. And hopefully during that conversation, we get to, with the senior, get to kind of know a little bit about them and making sure that we can sort of recommend a site that might mesh what they're looking for, whether it's location, size of building, supports are in that area, etc. So we do encourage those tours. So what happens next? You've done you're set on a wait list, you're great. You want to live at Kiwanis. Kiwanis lets the housing coordinator know, hey, we have a suite coming up. They will reach out to the next couple people on that wait list and say, hey, you're next, you're the next on the list. Are you still ready, willing, and able to move? That's great. Okay, you are. We'll match you with the site. The next couple steps are between the site and sorry, I was just seeing if there's any slides or I'm just blethering. But so that what will happen then is the site reaches out to the senior directly. From that point, it's between the senior and the site. So they'll set up a time to go do a tour, look at the actual site. Let's make sure that it does feel right. If the senior goes to see it and is like, yes, this is where I want to live, they'll work with the site to set up times for, move in, lease signing, all that good stuff. If a senior goes to see the suite that's offered and it just doesn't feel right, whether it's the building itself or the site, the suite is on the wrong floor, facing the wrong way, just doesn't feel right, it's okay to say no. We encourage a senior to make sure that it really is a good fit for them, because moving is, a pain in the arse for anybody. And you don't want to do that more than once. So if it doesn't feel right, you just say no. And then the housing will go to the next person on the list. We'll make some notes about why you said no and kind of try and get a better idea what you're looking for. We will do that 3 times. After 3 offers and the senior still says no, it just means we need to revisit it. So either the senior isn't understanding what we can offer, or we're not understanding what the senior looks like. So it's not you have to take the first thing offered or we shred your application. We really want to work with the senior to make sure we're finding the right fit. So that's why we encourage tours. That's why, even at the match, you might have seen the building and love it, but I think it's really important to go see the suite itself and get a feel of where it is in the building, all that good stuff before accepting it. Timelines. Lots of people are going to ask about the timeline. I will say that at this point, from the minute an application is received and processed, and you're reached out for an interview, we're looking probably about 3 to 4 weeks for that part of it. In terms of wait list, honestly, it because we do month to month, both in lodge and apartments. People sign a 1-year lease, but that 1-year lease is just based on the income. Anybody can, we give a month's notice. And also in a lot of our buildings, sometimes people don't necessarily give notice. They move to higher care or maybe higher, or we don't always know what's going to happen. So it's very hard for, sometimes people always want to know, how long am I going to be on the wait list? So some of the factors are, we don't know kind of what's coming up in terms of, because it is month to month. We also, because of the wait list being scored, even if you're second, during that month, we could be interviewing other people with higher needs. So we're really hesitant to say kind of what wait lists are going to look like. There are some buildings that have longer wait lists, some have shorter. We kind of get an idea of what's coming up in terms of vacancy. I will say at this point, lodges that tend to have a shorter wait list than apartments right now. We are pretty much at peak occupancy. So although things do come up, we don't have a surplus. But that is why that conversation and interview is so important, because we really want to make sure that when things do open up in terms of vacancies, we have that we are looking at those with the highest need. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll give this open up a wee bit to questions and such. I'm just going to stop sharing so you can kind of see me, because although this is a beautiful slide, let me just figure this out. I'm going to stop sharing. All right, so that's going to pop me up there. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can absolutely speak up or raise your hand or pop into chat there, and I'll try and answer them. Okay, go ahead, Michael.
Oh, hi.
Or Michelle. Sorry, am I saying it wrong?
This is Michael, yes.
Hi, Michael.
Thanks so much for the information. It's really, really informative and helpful. My mother has stayed in the subsidized apartments for more than 10 years. She's now 89. I think she's a bit slower than me. She's still very independent, but she has kind of trouble. We were worried about she cooking for herself, managing the stove and that sort of stuff. So I think she's ready to move into a lodge setting.
Okay.
So I think we'll fill in the application for her, right? We're just thinking, is it, will we also have a site lodge that's really close to our home and also close to the UFA hospital. So that's where we usually take her to if there's an emergency. So, is it possible for the relatives just to have a quick look at the facility, so that we
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
is it a bachelor's good for her or one bedroom?
Yeah, Michael, what I'll say is that at any time you can, you don't even have to have an application in.
Okay.
So if you're curious, sort of what we have. So in that area of the university, we have a lodge, Queen Alex is kind of really close, Pleasant View is not far away. Other side of the river is Kiwanis. What I would encourage for sure is you can go onto the website and all the numbers are there, contact numbers for each of the sites. If you're having a hard time navigating that, just call the central office. They'll give you a number, but you just contact the building itself, let them know that you're interested in a tour, and go take a peek and get a feel for it and make sure it's, it's kind of what you're thinking and what you're looking. Right. Each of the lodges have a different feel to them. So, say you go see Queen Alex and you just like, I'm not sure if this is right fit for mom. I would encourage you, try another one. Really and truly, like I've been in almost all of the buildings and they all have their own kind of personality, whether it's because of the size and location or whether it's because of just the seniors that live there. So absolutely, you can reach out at any time and go do a tour.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah,
you're welcome. Sorry guys, I'm trying to, I'm scanning to see if there's any more hands up or anything. If you have a question, let me pop in here and see some of these questions. Okay, one of the questions that came up is, are there any minimum income thresholds if a senior is only receiving, so when a senior's income is looking quite low, one of the things that we want to make sure is that that they are receiving all their benefits. So one of the things that we look at either on the application form or during the conversation is, are they receiving everything that they're entitled to? So are they getting all 4 of the benefits or those kind of things? If not, then we can help in terms of directing how to apply for those, or get them going applying for those, even while they're on a wait list with us. But yeah, it's that 30% is geared. The reason it's there is because we realize that there is a variance absolutely in incomes, right? So if it's really low, then I think we would definitely explore why that income's low and making sure that they have everything they're entitled to. Let me pop to another one here. With regards to the scoring criteria, if a person is in hospital, is this reflected in scoring? Absolutely. One of the things we talk about, maybe not that specifically, but we look at what is their current housing? What is it, like, where are they? If the housing is broken down or there is no housing, absolutely that reflects in the scoring because the senior is not safely housed. We're also going to look at why that is. Like, is there extenuating circumstances to that? But that's why that conversation is so important. I mean, what you write on a piece of paper is just the basic facts, but that conversation allows us to dig a little bit deeper and see what those circumstances are. So let me go back. Did I answer that? Yeah, so if a person's in hospital, then for sure, one thing we can do a virtual interview. So we kind of set it up like Zoom or Teams. But the criteria that is really important, whether it's lodge or apartment, what we'll ask is we can do this kind of chit chat virtually, but before we can approve it, absolutely, we do need the senior at some point to do a site visit. So if they're unable to meet with us in person for that interview, we work either with a hospital or family member to make sure that at some point they go do a tour. What we're looking is to make sure, that the senior is aware of the kind of housing and that's what they want. And we also want to make sure that they can navigate the site. So are they able to, get to and from dining room, or are they able to, open doors, things like that. We definitely try to accommodate, different needs. Sometimes we have people from out of province applying, but before we can absolutely secure, say yes or no, this is the right space for you, we look at either in-person interview or virtual with the addition of a site tour. Let's see, anything else I'm missing here? Okay, I think that I've answered what I can see. Any more hands up? No, not seeing much going on there. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of names on this list. So hopefully, oh, I see one more. Let me see if I can see who's got their hand up. Sorry. Okay, Cheryl. All right, Cheryl, go ahead. Oh, Cheryl, do you have a question for me? You might have to unmute yourself. Okay, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, hi Denise. I'm just starting the process for my 91-year-old mother, and she lives completely independently. For sure, she would need a lodge situation, but I'm also concerned about her cognitive issues, and I'm not sure if this would be the right facility for her. And she's also very reluctant to move, but that's another story. I'm sure you run into that a lot. So my question, I guess, is, should I start the process with A, her not being on board with this, and B, not really being sure if she's independent enough to live in a lodge, or if she needs a higher level of care? And how would I go about doing the assessment?
Sure, for sure. I'll answer kind of what I can. Maybe the first step, and you know, we do run into this for sure. I mean, you know, I spoke about one of our values is choice, right? So sometimes we have family or social workers or medical who tell me that, you know, you need to make my mom move to a lodge, and I think, if you can't, how am I going to do it? Like, so, but one of the ways that I sometimes say is there's kind of a sometimes there's a perception of what a lodge looks like and what it feels like. So sometimes seniors think it's going to be like I'm not sure what it means, but quote unquote home. So maybe if you can encourage her to do a tour of one of the sites and kind of get a feel for it. Yeah. It doesn't hurt to put the application in because when the interview comes around, two things can happen. A, we can talk to her a bit more about what it's like, and maybe, you know, if she has some preconceived conceptions, we can talk around that. Or we can also help you in terms of, is she appropriate for lodge living? We're not going to know your mom in, you know, the 40-minute interview, but we'll get an idea maybe if it's a good match. In terms of if you have concerns about where she's at in terms of higher care, that's all managed through Alberta Health Services. I would encourage you to call it's home care. They have an assessment line. I'm just looking up on my board. I can yeah, I was gonna say I can write it, but I don't know where to write it. I'll give it to you. If you have a pen, let me know. But there's an intake line, and you can start setting up an assessment with mom prior and seeing where she is, and they'll decide if she's lodge level or higher. They're the ones that kind of take anything over and above lodge care is all Alberta Healthcare.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to give you the number? Do you have a pen?
I've already spoken with them about the home care, and she doesn't want any home care because she's very, yeah.
Yeah, so they're the ones that kind of set up that assessment. The other thing you can do, Cheryl, is your general or your mom's doctor, start talking to them, because they can do what they call a geriatric assessment. And that's just gives you an idea of where she's landing. Like, is she maybe ready for lodge now, but maybe 6 months out, maybe needing more supports, or is she at that needing supports level now? But yeah, your physician or AHS can help you with those kind of more formal assessments.
Yeah, I just phoned her family doctor today, and I booked an appointment to get that.
Perfect.
Because I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, no, so, listen, it's new to a lot of people, like where to start and how to do things. So those are really good first steps.
Okay, sounds like I'm on the right path then.
You are.
Can I fill out an application for her, because she doesn't have email and she's probably going to fight me, or do I need her cooperation?
No, I mean, ideally, yeah, you know, we'd love for mom to be on board, because we're not going to go pick her up and drag her, you know. Yeah, but absolutely, like I said, if you're looking for some backup, like maybe during that interview process, or if you take her on a tour, she can get a feel and maybe it'll ease some of her anxiety about it. But yeah, you can do it for for her. We still need her to kind of sign it or an agreement, but it doesn't hurt to start the process for sure. We have lots of family members, whether because the senior can't or whatever, fill out those applications, but 100% mom needs to be on board before we can move forward.
Does she have to sign the initial application to get the interview?
There is a signature. I mean, that would be great because it's a lot of work and time if she's really not on board, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, you absolutely can, you know, move forward with it. But it's ultimately her choice. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me see. Do I got anything else going on here? I see one more hand. I just gotta find it. Cheryl, we answered. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the Q&A and see. Sorry, guys, there's a lot of things happening here. I think I've answered everything I see in terms of the written questions. Any more hands up? I don't think so. Okay, yeah, I don't know. What I will say that is if, I know there was a lot of information to cover in a short amount of time, but if you have any further questions, I would encourage you to reach out to GEF. There is, on the website, there is our central line, or you can send an email to, there's a general housing email, and someone will get back to you right away. Yeah, if you're not sure, the website does have quite a bit of information. And again, you can do those kind of virtual tours if you want to get an idea. There's a map on the website as well, so it shows you kind of which area of the cities have apartments and lodges, so you can kind of see if there's a specific area you're looking for, if we have a building. Yeah, in terms of application, you can do it online. We can you can print one off. If you have questions about that application, just call the central line. We have two absolutely lovely ladies that work the front desk for us that you know, are a plethora of knowledge, so they can help out with any questions. Yeah, otherwise, you guys, you kind of know everything I know at this point. I'll just take one more peek before we kind of finish up here and make sure I didn't miss anything. So again, it looks like I've kind of answered everything in terms of questions. I don't see any more hands up. So yeah. So I guess at this point, I will kind of close off. If you have any further questions, contact us. I want to thank you all for joining me for this quick little chat. And if you need any follow-up, just reach out to our central information line. My name is Denise. So if you call the central line and you want to talk to me directly, if there's something I can, you know, help out with or follow up, just ask them for me and they can direct you to me. Other than that, I guess I'll say thanks so much for joining us, and hopefully we're able to answer or provide some of the information you were kind of looking for when you joined us for our little lunch and learn. Okay, so I'm going to sign off. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.